Hello YouTube, my name is Artem, and we're gonna do some talking today. I have an interesting topic for today. I want to talk about intelligence, happiness, and their relationship. Let's get this party started. The question of today's video is ignorance truly bliss? Ignorance is bliss, wrote Thomas Gray. It's quite easy for stupid people to be happy, as once said Vida. Maybe if you actually understood the Joker, like I do, you would understand why I'm so sad all the time. Announced the Discord moderator, gobbled down another plate of pizza, and launched Steam. Nah, but really, how often do we hear how someone in one way or another says that they just wish, they just desire that they could be as happy as all of these idiots that are ignorantly strolling and prancing around, smiling. Just look at them, all happy and jolly and shit. Disgusting. Sadly, as it often happens with interesting ideas and progressive thoughts, this famous quote has went through some serious distortion throughout the years. It has turned into a sorry excuse for contempt and into a deep, deep misconception about happiness and intelligence. And aside from being those things, being too smart to be happy has become way too over romanticized. This concept of understanding how society and the world truly works, and therefore being in a constant depressive state, has become a fan favorite, especially perpetuated by depressed television stars like Mr. Robot and his famous rant about our fucked up society, or the evil anarchist Joker, who has become an especially beloved figure among neckbeards and edgy teenagers. Now, these anti-heroes, if we will, have become totems of worship for edgelords whose entire personalities are reflected by their understanding of the unethical aspects of the modern world. Have you ever thought why it's so tempting for so many to look up to characters that live the most dreadful and depressing lives? Why would somebody want to relate to them so badly? Why would you want to convince yourself that you're just like a sad clown or a schizophrenic system admin? In my opinion, the answer is quite obvious. Let's take season 1 Elliot, for example. How's he look? What's his life like? Well, he's alienated, he's asocial, he's a druggie, no future, dead end job, depressed. That remind you of anyone? How about the 20-something-year-old gamer who still hasn't moved out of mom's basement and still hasn't had one real conversation with a female? Now, in my opinion, edgelords most often fit that exact archetype. They're lonely, unambitious, and have cultivated little to no interest towards life or the people around them. They have no real hobbies, no real opinions, no passion, no friends, no partner. Their entire life usually consists of a heavy dopamine addiction and a job that, well, helps make ends meet. If you were living such a life, how would you feel? Desperate? Pathetic? Worthless? How about all of the above? Because at any point when you're not jerking off or playing video games, at any point when you're left alone with yourself and your thoughts, you're in pain. Because you can't run from yourself. You understand that you're unhappy, unfulfilled, and you see no way out of your predicament. So naturally, of course, as anybody would, you do your best to sweep those bad thoughts under the carpet and try to shut yourself up by letting your brain munch on some more meaningless content. Too scared to commit suicide, although you have no idea what for you continue to live, and you don't dare try to understand, and too scared to even try to climb out of this disgusting mess that you call your life. What would you do if this was your day today? What could at least give you the illusion of meaning and feeling whole? Well, how about a nice little quote that excuses complacency, all the while sucking your dick off for being so damn smart? Perfect. Think about it. You're living that pathetic, disgusting life that we previously described. Then you watch a couple of shows and movies like the ones we brought up. Maybe if you really want to outdo yourself, you follow them up with a couple of edgy books as well. And you understand, bam, I'm not pathetic. I haven't desensitized myself to life, nor have I atrophied my brain by constantly feeding myself with short bursts of meaningless satisfaction. No. No, no, no. I am an intellectual. And I am such an intellectual, in fact, that I cannot be happy in this disgusting world. Now look, I've tried. But when my eyes were opened, when I understood that I'm surrounded by stupid sheeple in a world ridden of morals, I realized that there's no point in trying. There you go. Once a video game addict, now a philosopher. pain is gone. Because now, every day, you have an excellent excuse to fill your void. You're not just wasting your life, you just don't want to partake in this dark, primitive society. No, not because you lack drive and ambition, but because you're too smart to be happy. Brilliant. Now you can peacefully continue on with your shitty life, because, there's no reason to try and improve it, fuck society. And don't worry, it turns out you're really smart, so you do have some self-worth after all. That's my take on these cynical edgelords and those who unironically jerk the Joker's dick off and pridefully ramble on about how disgusting our society is and they can't be happy in it. Now, is there an interesting discussion to be had about the highs and lows of modern ethics? Absolutely. Is there also an interesting discussion to be had about the connection between modern ethics alongside the structure of modern societies and an all-time high depression rate? Of course! I'm only railing against those who only have the balls to discuss, who get stuck in this pseudo-nihilistic, paralyzed state, but they lack the testicular firepower to act on what they say. What's the point of a talk that isn't being walked after all? By the way, side note, this rant isn't meant to ignite any sort of hatred towards those less self-aware members of our society, such as those types of edgelords or Discord moderators that we've talked about. I mean, we're all just trying to figure this life thing out, and my guess is that those guys are just a bit further behind than everybody else. I think the best thing we can do is show them some empathy and compassion, and try and nudge them into the direction of more thoughtful living. Anyways, I've ranted a bit about these cringy kids that just discovered nihilism, who found a way to turn their suffering into a shallow personality, but I still have yet to answer the main question of our video. Is ignorance really bliss? Can I really just stick my head into a microwave, lose a few IQ points, and indulge in the fruits of nirvana? Now, I think it would be a bit foolish to just take these questions head on. They're pretty loaded after all. Let's decompose them. Firstly, I'd like to consider what it means to be stupid. Then, we'll go on to consider what it means to be happy. And after we're on one page there, I think we'll try to answer the main question, can I be happy because of my stupidity? Otherwise, it would be pretty tough to get to the bottom of all of this. Now, I know you're all very anxious to hear me begin, but before we dig in, I'd like to clarify some things about our little thought experiment. Number one, the ultimate question and goal of our video is to determine if people that are stupid live happier lives than those that are intelligent. This means that bursts of happiness, which everyone can experience, are not of interest to us. Anyone can just have a good day, or watch a funny TikTok, or beat their meat, or do something fun and just experience that burst of joy. That's not interesting. So, exceptions such as individuals with mental disorders or people living abnormal lives are also not going to be accounted for. That would be a topic for a different video, and perhaps on a different channel. Here, we're thinking about what applies to everyday individuals that aren't handicapped from experiencing a normal, happy, well-rounded life. Alright boys, let's get rolling. Part 1, stupidity. Stupid, dumbass, idiot, moron, half-wit, imbecile, flat earther. So many words, but nobody really knows what they mean. People call each other stupid all the time. Waiter forgot to take the onions out of your burger? Dumbass. Somebody cut you off on the road? Moron. Somebody hasn't read as many books as you? Well, obviously they don't come anywhere near your intellectual prowess. But really, I think that most reasonable people don't equate a bad memory or the lack of an encyclopedia in somebody's head to stupidity. That sounds like elementary school logic. The amount of stories about those who were not strong in academia but went on to revolutionize one industry or another is overwhelming. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school for Christ's sake, and I don't think we can call him stupid. Now, how about IQ? The quantitative measure of somebody's reasoning ability, or how well you can use information and logic to answer questions, make predictions, and solve problems. Well, 70% of the world wields an IQ between 85 and 115, which is super duper average. Statistically speaking, when you call somebody an idiot or vice versa, both of you most likely have approximately the same intellectual potential. Statistically speaking, whenever you call somebody stupid, you're plain wrong. Statistically speaking, if we were to take some trashy community college student Reverse time and had him grow up in a rich family, sent to a nice private school, and then enrolled in an Ivy League university, he would probably go on to be at least an okay specialist in his field. This means that for the most part, we're all on one playing field, deceiving ourselves into believing that some are smarter than others, while in reality, geniuses and idiots comprise the minority of society. What I'm saying is that you and I, and probably most of the people that surround us, are, well, once again, average. And it seems that there is no plausible official method of raising your IQ, so no, reading a few books and getting a degree won't grant you the I'm smarter than you badge. So if most of us really are on one playing field, why are some labeled stupid and others smart? We've been speaking for quite a while, but haven't come to an answer. What does it mean to be stupid? And now the question has become even more interesting. What does it mean to be stupid when most people average out at the same level of intellect? Well, now it's important to emphasize that intellectual potential is just that, potential. There's a famous and controversial piece of research carried out by Lewis Thurman. Now, he picked out a bunch of kids with exceptionally high IQs and followed them around for a while. You know, hidden bushes, filmed their lives, all that fun stuff. He did that for 35 years. And after those 35 years went by, the results were in. They showed that while a good number of subjects got a bunch of degrees and went on to being business executives and scientists, the majority pursued, quote, humble professions, unquote, and didn't really do anything all that crazy. Now, a lady by the name of Melida Oden carried on Thurman's research and decided to compare the most and least successful subjects. Her findings? Well, the successful subjects distinguished themselves from the unsuccessful by displaying goal orientation, self confidence, and perseverance. For me, the keyword was perseverance. And that's where I think we can start wrapping this part up. Considering that most of us have approximately the same intellectual potential, what's the point in discussing it? Who the hell cares about your potential? Show me your kinetic shit. Can you imagine if Einstein had spent his days drinking himself to death? Would he have become the icon that he has? Of course not. Just imagine. Damn, Einstein was a real science legend. Wait, wasn't he just an alcoholic? Yeah, I mean, maybe, but you gotta look at his IQ. The smart stuff he could have done, legendary. Put simply, you're only smart if you make use of your potential, whatever it is, and you're only stupid if you don't. Somebody born with an average IQ, for example, that's a hungry learner, that never ceases to use their brain, does do their best to think critically, consider various thoughts and points of view, and just contemplate and self-reflect in general, they will never be deemed stupid. Now, sure, they might peak a bit lower than Einstein, Tesla, and their lot, but who really gives a damn? Through intellectual perseverance, such a person can still flip mountains upside down and change the world for the better. But a genius that commits philosophical suicide, doesn't think, doesn't challenge thoughts and points of views, and just atrophies their brain, that's one big idiot dummy dum-dum face if you ask me. Socrates said, "Wonder is the beginning of wisdom." And he also said, "The only true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing." We can't know anything for sure, but we sure as hell can do our best to think. So when we come to the ultimate question of the video, are stupid people happier? By stupidity, I will presume those that do not think, those that do not act upon whatever intellectual potential that they have. Happiness. What is happiness? Well, it's a state of well-being and contentment, the feeling of positive emotions and satisfaction. I mean, everyone has felt it at least once in their lifetime. A perfect day, a perfect moment, a perfect hug, or a perfect kiss. And bam, the happiness rolls in. But what about living a generally happy life? What about being upbeat, optimistic, and filled with positivity during the majority of your lifespan? Let's dig into that. And let's start by rolling back to 300 BC. Meet Aristotle. Aristotle divided happiness into two types. Hedonia, or what you feel when you fulfill your desires. You do what feels good, experience enjoyment, and etc. Hedonistic happiness usually comes from pleasurable sensations. Getting it on in the bedroom, beating a level in a video game, listening to your favorite music, doing drugs, eating delicious pizza, and so on. And if we were to describe it with one simple sentence, hedonia is about feeling good. Eudaimonia is the other type, and that's what you feel when you seek and find, at least partially, a sense of meaning, value, and or purpose. When you invest in your long-term goals, when you genuinely improve the lives of other people, seek virtue, when you see personal growth within yourself, and feel that your life is not being flushed down the drain. All of these are eudaimonic pleasures. Think of it as feeling purpose. Aristotle said, "He is happy who lives in accordance with complete virtue and is sufficiently equipped with external goods, not for some chance period, but throughout a complete life." Now, I want to take a pause and note a few things here. Firstly, Aristotle believed that happiness is defined by a lifetime, not by a moment. The Greek philosopher thought that being happy meant making virtuous choices on a day to day, moment to moment basis, leading to your long term happiness. Aristotle heavily favored eudaimonia over hedonia. We could say defining the second one as more of a pointless and wasteful type of happiness. He didn't see the value in hedonia as an essential part of being happy. For him, virtue, which we can say is basically striving for eudaimonia, was the key to happiness, while hedonia was really a waste of time. Aristotle would be a staunch critic if he was alive right now and here to see the instant pleasures that a lot of us seek nowadays. Aristotle acknowledged that there are certain prerequisites to achieving eudaimonic happiness. He called them real goods, or survival necessities, if you will, without which we can't really think about seeking meaning or improving our community. Now, shelter and food are obvious, but Aristotle also noted necessities of the mind, so to speak, such as music, art, literature, and etc. I want to note that the Greek philosopher made sure to differentiate between real goods and apparent goods. The latter being goods that might make us feel good but are really completely excess and unnecessary for a happy and meaningful life. A simple example would be, imagine modern Midwestern Southern USA. Now, a car there can be considered a real good. It's almost an essential prerequisite to leading a comfortable life. Without a car, you lack a real good, and it might hinder you from achieving in other fields of your life. Perhaps you can't make it to your improv class, or don't have any way of getting to school, or maybe meeting up with your friends and family. Now, if you drive a Hyundai Sonata, for example, a newer model, you pretty much have that real good completely. You drive comfortably, safely, and your car doesn't look like it drove out of a junkyard. A Rolls Royce, though, is an apparent good. Sure, it also gets you from point A to point B, but, the blowjob machine that comes out of the steering wheel, the seats made from leather out of child skin or something like that, those don't add any substance to your overall happiness or quality of life. According to Aristotle's model, a solid balance of materialism with spirituality and heavy favoring for the latter, that's what you need to be happy. A similar but more fleshed out framework was proposed a couple something thousand years later by none other than Abraham Maslow, with his now widely known Pyramid of Needs. I'm sure that we've all seen it in one context or another. It's a pyramid made up of 5 slices, each of which represents human needs. Now, from bottom to top, they go physiological, or your need for food, water, and sleep, then safety, security of health, family, employment, then love and belonging, your requirement of having friends, a nice social circle, sexual intimacy, a good family, etc. Then self esteem or esteem, that's your need for confidence, recognition, respect from others, your sense of accomplishment, and etc. And at the very top, we have the need for self actualization, or living in accordance with one's full potential, becoming who we really are, tending to our personal and creative growth, positively impacting others, developing spiritually, becoming authentic, autonomous, and developing our very own moral compass. While we're here, I really like one of Maslow's quotes about self-actualization. He once said, "If a man can be, he must be." I really like how that sounds. Anyways, doesn't that remind you of anything? Eudaimonia, hint hint. Now, Maslow developed this pyramid while searching for the meaning of life in 20th century USA, where capitalism was blooming and hedonistic pleasures, along with the so-called apparent goods, took the center stage as the main fruits of life, dwarfing and eclipsing spirituality in their wake. He developed his pyramid in an effort to place his finger on an ideal and well-lived life. Supposedly, thoroughly seeking to all of your needs in this pyramid will grant you exactly that, a happy and well-lived life. Once again, though, we are met with the importance of balance, as Maslow's pyramid implied that overlooking some of your needs while doubling down on others is a good way to be unhappy. The pyramid challenged extremists on all sides of the meaning of life spectrum, those that believed in spirituality above all else, and those who hyper-focused on material gain. Maslow's pyramid did, of course, receive criticism. The main one was for the lack of hard scientific foundations for his theory, as really no concrete empirical evidence was given for the model. Maslow also implied a strict hierarchy, meaning that if you're hungry, you're not thinking about safety, you're just thinking about food. And if you're not safe, you're probably not thinking about making friends, and so on and so forth. This implication was criticized due to the wide array of exceptions that exist, and also due to the lack of measures to which one's needs need to be fulfilled until the next one can be sought after. Talking about exceptions, Maslow especially reflected on artistic individuals, who hyper-focused on self-actualization and creative growth, all the while forgetting about all of their other needs. Buddhist monks are also an example of a segment that only cares about spirituality, forgetting about most other needs, and they seem quite happy while doing so. Now, I'm saying all of this just so to tell you guys that these models shouldn't be treated as gospel, but instead we can look at them as highly popular frameworks that seem reasonable, at least on a base level. Anyways, finally, the last take. I would say this is one of the most recently popular takes on achieving happiness that I've seen, and it's the happiness wheel. The wheel of life, or whatever other name it's already been given by one life coaching website or another. Well, it's just a wheel, divided into 6 to 10 slices, each of which represents a universally important part of everyone's life. Most commonly, it's something like health, career, family, spirituality, blah blah blah. You get the point. Here, though, there's no comparison, no hierarchy, none of that. Every slice is important, and if you want to live a happy life, your job is to fill each slice to the brim. So, meaning, if career is filled while the family slice is empty, you might not be living too happy of a life. This is yet again another challenge to the archetype of crazed artist who sits in his basement all day painting and doing nothing else, as it implies that even if you find unprecedented success in one area of your life, if your other areas are lacking, you're not happy. On a side note, we could even argue that you can't be great and happy at the same time. And when I say great, I mean go down in history as the best X grade. I can't imagine Elon Musk with his no life or work schedule, for example, being an overall happy person. Although whatever you think of him, he's going down in history as a significant figure. The Wheel of Life also challenges the mentality of sacrifice this now so that you can blah 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 later. I've seen plenty of people talk about using their 20s to develop their career so that they can enjoy the other fruits of life down the line. But when you think about it, they're saying, be unhappy for 10 years so that you can be happy later? Same goes for the modern hustler grind set. Do nothing but grind 24/7 so that your grandchildren can shit in a golden toilet. Thankfully, the Sigma Alpha fuck bitches get money thing has been kind of turned into a meme and seems to be dying down a bit, but that trend was a great example of an oversimplified but attractive sounding way to achieve happiness. Sadly, the less critical members of our society jumped onto the bandwagon and played along, many of them spiraling into a very dark place by doing so. Obviously, sacrifice of short-term happiness for long-term happiness has its place. Hell, instant gratification is usually never the right answer, and most good things come at the price of short-term discomfort. Nevertheless, short-term discomfort doesn't equate to being fucking miserable. Making a new friend may be uncomfortable, but the long-term benefits are awesome. Sitting your ass down and finally getting to that creative project that you've been meaning to get to for a long time is really difficult, especially if you want to watch another episode of your favorite TV show. But the process is gratifying, even if tough. Now, working a job that you fucking hate and that gives you nothing but stacks of cash and mental health detriments, that's an unreasonable sacrifice, not just of comfort, but of your happiness. And I think it's our goal, if we want to be happy, to make our sacrifices reasonable, so that when we're, lying on our deathbed, taking our last breaths, we don't shed tears over wasting precious time and energy on something that didn't matter too much after all, while taking the things that did matter for granted. Notice how we're once again exploring balance. This last model is completely based around the principle. It's a reoccurring theme and one that shouldn't be shrugged off. Now, I'm sure you've heard shit like, the real key to happiness is finding your soulmate. Or find the thing that makes you passionate and just work at it. And 100 other alternatives of somebody simplifying happiness down to one of the many important aspects of life. Hey, I'm not a happiness expert, but from the discussion that we've had, I think it's safe to assume that the key to happiness sure as hell can't be described in one sentence. So watch out for those quotes that sound really sexy and cool. A lot of times they're just misleading. Frankly, I think you guys got the memo with this one. Take care of each slice of the wheel proportionately and be happy. Sounds pretty easy to me. Now, I think it's time to wrap this part up. We took a look at 3 famous models that set out to turn that frown upside down. Firstly, we considered Aristotle with his hedonia and eudaimonia, making the point that while we do need to focus on self-actualization, spirituality, and becoming the best versions of ourselves, we can't completely forget about the material world, as it lays the foundation for our eudaimonic development. Hedonia is pretty much a waste of time and a distraction from the real OG, eudaimonia, as said Aristotle. The homie Abraham with his dope-ass pyramid, making the point that we need to fulfill our physiological safety, social esteem, and self-actualization needs, preferably in that order, to live a happy life. And lastly, the Wheel of Life. And by the way, I do know that it's been around for a long time. I think it's an ancient Buddhist thing, actually. I know it's not a modern framework, but as far as I see, it's been trending especially in recent years. And anyways, this model kind of combines the other two and changes the format. Maintain a healthy balance of the most important areas of life, and you'll be happy. Boom, bam, diddly bam, done. So as we move into the next part, and finally, get to our final question, are stupid people happier? By happiness, I will presume living a life in which your core physical, social, self-actualization, and spiritual needs are met. And obviously, there's really no finish line here, so they need to be continuously met. Or they're working on being met. The last part. Does stupid equal happy? Now, everyone who hasn't tuned out of my tangent yet, I appreciate you. Let me reward you with the answer to our question, which is, are stupid people happier? Do they lead a happier life? Considering everything that we've discussed so far, let me remind you, we're presuming that stupidity is intellectual stagnation or digression, or the unwillingness to fulfill one's intellectual potential, the reluctancy to think. While a happy life is one that maintains a healthy balance between eudaimonia and materialism and all of their respective components. Can stupid people maintain that healthy balance? Sure. But the odds are 1,000,000 to 1. Because that means, through a series of incredible coincidences, a meaningful and structured life would have to fall right into the hands of our theoretical dummy. Why is that the only way, you might ask? I believe that to maximize happiness during your lifespan, you gotta use those brain ligaments quite a lot. Here are my main points. Firstly, eudaimonia basically equals using your fucking brain. I think this one's pretty obvious. Developing spirituality, becoming your real authentic self, personal and creative growth. If you want to apply, at least to some extent, any of these buzzwords to yourself, you're gonna have to go through a rigorous process of self-reflection and self-assessment that lasts until your very death. Becoming your best self means constantly analyzing what you are, how you became what you are, what you would like to change, how to make that change, and yada, yada, yada. Self-reflection will be a great topic for a different video, but the point is, if you do it right, you're exercising your intellect quite a lot, and this activity does not tolerate intellectual complacency whatsoever. Number 2, fulfilling your needs is one thing, but doing it right is another. Let's take a caricature example. And, don't forget that real people aren't caricatures. Have you seen some of those videos, about that guy that never leaves his hometown? They're pretty funny. I'm sure they ring a bell for most of us in one way or another. I think we kind of know people like that. Anyways, let's take this guy, let's bring him in to our little discussion, and let's meet him. His name is Joey. Now, just like his character presumes, Joey is what we could call stupid and unhappy. He doesn't do anything to broaden his horizons. His main hobbies include vaping and doing shotguns with the boys. He works a regular 9 to 5 where he fills out paperwork that he really couldn't care less about. And outside of work, he mostly chases hedonic pleasures. Watching Netflix, indulging in substances, and etc. Now, let's tell Joey about everything that we've discussed so far. About our definition of stupidity. About Aristotle, eudaimonia, hedonia, wheel of life, everything. Joey is not mentally handicapped. He understands the words that come out of our mouth, and he follows our train of thought, and in the end, he might think for a while and say, wow, it seems that I'm a pretty smart and happy guy. Wait, what? We might ask. Well, I'm definitely not stupid, says Joey. I can tell you that for sure. I use my brain all the time. I see a lot of deep quotes online and I think about them. Plus, my friends and I discuss some pretty deep shit, man, about like, fucking life being complex and all that, and, how some people just be real and others just be fake. You can call me an intellectual, baby. As far as happiness goes, well, my wheel of balance is all full, baby. I got hella friends. We went to one school and they're always happy to chug some bud with me. My job is dope as hell. They give me a decent wage and I might even get promoted soon. So my career is all set. Spiritually, well, you can say that I'm all spirited out, if you know what I mean. I'm subscribed to a bunch of motivational pages on Insta. I listen to Gary Vee and Jordan Peterson. And as I've already said, I think about a lot of deep shit. Plus, I donate a few bucks to charity every other week, so I'm giving back to the community. Life is dope. As we can see, Joey's lack of thought leads him to overestimate the quality of his life. He's not critical or thoughtful of his lifestyle, so he thinks that friends, which are always ready to drink beer with him, make up a good social circle. That watching some populistic, smart, and deep content and discussing deep shit makes you hella spiritual. And so on and so forth. And while donating even a few dollars every other week is much better than nothing, Joey thinks that that's all he needs to do to make a positive impact on his community. Without overanalyzing, we can see how failing to use your brain and being critical can mislead you into thinking that all is cool, while in reality, you might be missing out on a lot of happiness that you could have achieved by thinking just a bit more. What I mean is, due to him being stupid by our definition, Joey has an illusion that he's living his best life, while actually, that's far from the truth. While we're here, let me just say that I think Joey is the perfect example of what somebody that hasn't given it much thought might mean when they say stupid people are happier. I mean, look at him. He says he's happy. He looks like it too, but in reality, I'm arguing that he's just ignorant to the fact of just how much he's missing out on. I want to show you a simplified diagram. The black circle is what Joey sees as his social, career, and spirituality needs. And as far as he understands, he's as jolly as ever. His needs are all fulfilled and he has everything he needs to be as happy as possible. Social needs, chugs beer with the boys, bam, done. Career, got a decent salary, bam, done. Spirituality, watch Jordan Peterson, bam, done. I'm all happy, my needs are fulfilled, excellent. However, due to Joey's lack of thought and critical thinking, and consequently his narrow worldview, he just doesn't see the bigger picture and everything that he's missing out on. Take a look at the red circle. Those are the things that he could do to make life a bit more joyful. So instead of just chugging beer with boys, he could seek meaningful friendships. Instead of just thinking about his salary, he could look for a fulfilling and passion-inducing profession. And instead of just watching Jordan Peterson, he could indulge in self-reflection and self-improvement. In Joey's perception, he's happy. Somebody that looks at Joey might say that he is stupid and therefore happy. While in reality, I think Joey is just ignorant of how happy he could really be. Oh, and don't forget that striving to be your best self, self-actualization, using your brain, eudaimonia, and all that other fun stuff, that's really fucking hard. And I'm talking painfully hard. Questioning your beliefs and your values, throwing them out because you think you can do better, looking for your purpose and your passion, trying new things, fucking up and starting from scratch, and much, much more, all this is part of the process of becoming your best self. Somebody going through that might look miserable and distraught, especially if you compare them with Joey, while in truth they're just striving to transform into somebody that Joey could never transform into. From the sidelines though, you might hear, "I'd rather be like Joey," or "ignorance is bliss." But is ignorance truly bliss? No. Ignorance gives the illusion of bliss, misleading the ignorant into believing wholeheartedly that they've achieved bliss and concealing that they have merely scratched the surface. True bliss requires a sacrifice of sleep, blood, sweat, and tears. True bliss is not just feeling positive emotions, because just to achieve it, you're gonna have to experience the entire spectrum of emotions. deeply, thoroughly, time and time again. And if you only see that painful, sublime, and powerful process, you just might get scared and fooled into thinking that it's best to lie low and be stupid and happy. But just remember, you're being fooled into a mediocre life. That's all from me. Thank you guys very much. I guess I'm kind of, the usual give this a thumbs up or something like that. Honestly, thumbs up, thumbs down, just any activity would make my day. Trying to share my thoughts and hoping that maybe I can impact somebody, not with the thoughts themselves, but I just want to spark some thinking from you guys as well. Maybe spark an interesting discussion. So if you guys have any comments, criticisms, anything like that, leave it down below. If you want to see more of this stuff, then give me a like and subscribe. If you fucking hate me and want to kill my family, you can just dislike the video instead of doing that. Yeah, or if you're feeling particularly not nice today, then you can go ahead and just spam some hate in the comments. I guess that's okay as well. But honestly, I would prefer if you guys kept it cordial and constructive. I'm gonna stop babbling now, and I'm really excited to put this video out there and start working on the next one. Thank you very much for your time. I will see you all later. Bye bye.